Welcome back to Just Talking. We have a great guest here today, and that is Paul Michael Glaser, excellent actor, director, artist, and author. And Paul, nice to have you on the show.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good to be here.
Well, let's start off. How did you get involved in acting?
Oh, that's a long one. I have two older sisters, and the middle child. We were very close. We did a lot of creative things together when we were kids, and she wanted to be an actress. So I suspect that I followed in her footsteps.
One of the early films I loved you in was Fiddler on the Roof. How was it being on that film?
Oh, it was cool. It was cool. And I just did just 7 years ago, I did a tour of England, and I ended up playing Tevye, which was interesting because Tevye is like this character I played in the film, but years later.
Huh.
That's one way to look at it.
So why do you think that stage musical has lasted all these years? It resonates even today.
I think it's all about the story that's told. And the story is a universal story about family and about hope and suffering and surviving and enduring things. Tradition!
Well, and then of course you did excellent acting in television as well. Do you prefer film versus television when you act, or is there a difference?
Well, film is used to be. It used to be. You could get a little more meat on the bone in film. You could do more because it took a little longer to shoot it, and it's on the big screen. Television and movie aren't really an actor's medium. The theater is the actor's medium. Television is a producer's medium, and the film is a director's medium. Or at least that's the way it used to be.
Yeah. Well, and of course you're in a successful TV show, Starsky and Hutch as well. Why do you think that was a successful TV show?
Well, it was a concurrence of a bunch of things, I imagine. Society, people were ready to welcome in a story that about two guys. It was dressed up in a very commercial and fluffy way, but I think David and I brought a fair amount of humanity to the piece, and I think people related to us.
Now, you are an excellent director as well. I'd like to talk about that. What made you take that transition to be a director?
Well, I've always been interested in directing, and when I was doing the show the first season, I realized that wasn't enough. I wanted to do more, and so I started to concentrate on directing because directing has so many avenues, so many outlets for your creativity. There's the photography, the editing, the teaching, the taking the journey with the crew. There's logistics. You use all of your faculties, all of your abilities.
We brought up photography. Nothing beats Miami Vice. And that one that you did, I think, The Prodigal Son, photography is just phenomenal. How was it collaborating with Michael Mann on Miami Vice?
Oh, fine. Michael had been a writer on the Starsky and Hutch, and he went and got that show off the ground and asked me if I'd like to direct a couple of episodes. I said, sure, why not? And we were shooting in Miami, which had never, as a city, had never had a show there before. And so we were the first ones. So being the first ones allowed us a lot of liberties, a lot of freedoms. So we got to do an awful lot of different things. So that was nice. And, Michael's a bit of a maverick and a revolutionary. So he kind of understood and actually promoted, people to explore more than they might ordinarily explore.
And then your feature films as well. Again, one of my favorites is The Running Man. And when you were talking about different aspects of directing, what is directing? Meaning, is it just directing the principal actors, or do you, as a director, starts from day one to when the film gets released?
Well, directing, there are many different kinds of directors. You start, you start with the script, and then you may participate in the rewriting the script or reworking the script, identifying the problems. And then you're involved in casting, and then you're involved in, and then you have production and choosing where to shoot the film and what the film should look like and what the costumes should look like and what this, all of that. And then you have the special effects and you have the action and you have, you're recreating a whole world and you're the person who's recreating it. So if you're given to being a visual person, then you will be very involved in the visuals and the photography and the look and feel of the piece. You know, then when you finish filming, you have the editing, which really makes the movie. And a movie changes a lot when it goes into the editing bay because you can control tempo and pace and all of that. And, you know, so directing a film, if you're what I think of as a well-rounded director, then you're going to be involved in many, 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 many aspects of the making of the movie.
What I liked about that Running Man is that when I saw it, it's like, it's great action, fun movie, but at the time I said, but that'll never happen. But now I watch it, I'm like, boy, we're really close to that storyline. Do you see that when you make movies like that? You're saying it can be sometimes more of a movie.
Yeah, I actually was, I'd been looking at a script that was sort of close to that. I don't know, I found it absolutely credible and the future of the business.
And then after that, another good photography-wise you did was The Cutting Edge as well. Even with the actors, they work so well. The chemistry between those two principal actors. Do you allow them to do improv a little bit, or is it more sticking to the script?
You kind of feel your way. Some actors are really good at improv, some aren't. Sometimes you'll have a problem with a scene, and to get them off their preconceptions and get a little energy into it, you'll ask them to improvise the scene. There's many different ways, many different techniques.
Well, talking about storytelling, you also became an author. How did that come about?
I had written, my last film that I did, a film called Kazam with Shaquille O'Neal, was a total fluke. And I made it in a ridiculously short amount of time. And when I got through, I found that the studio experience as a director wasn't that good. I'd wanted to be an auteur, but I wasn't emotionally mature enough to find that yet. And so after I did Kazam, I said, okay, I'm just going to write my own material and see if I can sell it. And I wrote a screenplay, and they didn't have the technology at the time to film what the story required. So I decided to write it as a book. I'd never written a book. And it came out quite well. You know, and then I hired a few illustrators and eventually got the book out. It's on Amazon. It's called Crystallian, the Source of Light. It's about a 14-year-old girl. It's told in her voice and a 9-year-old brother. They are facing dark times. The mother's, it's their last Christmas with their mother, and the bank is kicking them out of their house. And the girl is angry and doesn't have any faith in anything except what she see and touch. And on Christmas Eve, she and her brother find themselves on a journey through an underground medieval kingdom where everything and everybody are made of minerals and crystals in search of the source of light. So I wanted to animate the properties of light, and they didn't have the ability to do it then. Now, thanks to James Cameron and what he did with Avatar, it's all doable. In the middle of writing it, I wrote a second book. When I said to my daughter, who should illustrate this? She said, you should. So I said, okay. So I started illustrating. When I got bored with illustrating, I do other paintings and drawings. And that led me to my career at painting and drawing. And I was traveling at the time. So I had an iPad with me, and I was translating an awful lot of this to the iPad and then playing around with the colors. And then I decided, probably erroneously, that the learning curve on Photoshop in the computer was less intense than the learning curve of learning to paint with oils and acrylics and watercolors. Maybe a toss-up, I don't know. So I started painting, and now I'm totally into it. I'm finishing illustrating this second book, which I took time off from, but it's going to have like 40-odd illustrations. And it's a strange book. It happened to me totally by accident and just blew up into this 300-something page story, which I took out of a drawer years later and read it aloud to some friends who read part of it and kept laughing. And I thought to myself, hey, I ought to illustrate this thing. So, so then I became an artist, digital sketching and charcoal and digital.
What's the name of the second book you're working on? So that
The second book is called Hookfoot and Peg, A Cautionary Tale.
Let's talk about your websites. I believe you have a website about your artwork so people can view them. Let's hear about your websites.
Well, I have two websites now. I have pmglazerart.com, which is all my work. And then I have pmglazerconnect.com, which is an idea that came up a while back, and we're pretty excited about it. We just launched it last week. It's taking some of the merchandise, it's taking some of the art and putting it on merchandise. For instance, this here is a tomato, okay. Right? In the back, it says, can you read that?
The tomato, the striped tomato. The striped tomato.
Yeah, striped tomato. That's kind of an in joke. On Starsky and Hutch, I used to refer to the car all the time as a striped tomato because I didn't really like it that much. So this T-shirt, other T-shirts with more of my art on it, mugs, blankets, beanbag chairs, socks, and I just put a bunch of my art on these things, and people seem to be responding very positively, which is kind of cool.
And what are the website addresses are? Just again,
the merchandise is PM Glaser, Glaser, pmglazerconnect.com. And the art site is pmglazerart.com.
Well, Paul, I want to just thank you so much for talking with us today. We'll definitely check out your websites, your artwork, and again, those who haven't seen your body work, it's just amazing. Check out your acting and directing. And Paul, thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you for having me. You stay well.